Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing the MCU again. I got my buddy Eddie over here. Say welcome back, Eddie. It's long time no see on at least this sense of the universe, right? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute. I think there's so many shows that came out and I was like, when are we gonna go back to this? But you know, with all the changes and going on, it's just hard to get everything together. So it's all good.
Yep. You know, for those who aren't aware, you know, Eddie and I are good friends. We've played football out on the West Coast for a long time. I recently moved to the Midwest, so we don't get to see each other as much. We try to do stuff, you know, whether it's text or chat or see each other. Or now we're going to try to do this just to, you know, rekindle friendship and hopefully bring you guys some MCU content. In this video, we're going to be talking about She-Hulk. So we're missing Mike today. He's busy doing work stuff or whatever. We'll get him back sometime in the near future. So we've got 2 episodes of She-Hulk in. I guess my first question for you is generally, how do you like the show?
I like it. I think a lot of folks, well, first of all, it got a lot of backlash when like the trailer first dropped and like all the CGI was like, they were like, oh, it's janky and all that stuff. But it's like, it's a trailer that's dropped. Like the whole thing hasn't even come out yet. I'm sure they're going to do work to it. But I think that we live in a society now where like, if like the public is up in arms about anything, they do whatever they can to fix it. I mean, you saw it with Sonic when they first put the trailer out. It was like this weird, like rodent-looking character, and everybody was like, "No, it looks terrible." So they went back and they did it again and put it to like the Sega version, and everybody loved it. Same thing with this. I mean, it wasn't a full done CGI, but people noticed enough details to be like, "That you gotta fix that, you gotta fix this." So they went back and did it. But beside all that, I think it's a fun show. I do have some slight gripes about it, but we'll get to that as we continue the conversation.
Okay, cool. You know, I know episode 1 is over a week ago. I mean, for me, my expectations were low on the series in general. I watched episode 1. Obviously, there was going to be a little bit of backstory there. We got that. We won't dive too much into it, but I generally thought it was a good show. The acting seems decent. I like that it sort of evolved into her in the courtroom. She saw her changing from She-Hulk back to Jen. How do you feel about that general concept, by the way? Just the easy evolution back and forth. I wasn't a big She-Hulk person for the comics. Is that something that you're fine with, or is that you struggle a little bit with that?
You mean with her just being able to transform in and out of it, like with ease
just
and
like
not,
you're
right?
snapping your fingers.
I'm not mad at it. I think it's cool. I mean, again, I think it's probably going to harp on the whole narrative of what I'm going to speak on later because I'm curious thoughts on this one because there's a discussion happening right now. But I personally I think what I love the most about it is like when she breaks the fourth wall. So like she knows that she's in this thing, kind of like the way that Deadpool like knows that he's in the movie, he's in the comic book. Like I love that aspect of the show because it kind of keeps you I guess grounded in a way. Like we know this is a series, and this is where you are. This is what you're watching. Like you're watching a court, like you're watching a law drama, not a Marvel show. It's also this, you know. So I like to do that. But as far as her changing with ease, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, we already have someone who can't. We already have the Hulk who can't do that. So I think it's cool that she's able to. But yeah, I think that's. What do you think on it?
You know, I don't mind it. I think it's interesting. Hearing you talk about where we've got the Hulk who, you know, it's a little bit harder for him, so to speak, or he stays in one form or the other. He had the lullaby, stuff like that. It's definitely different. It might be, and again, I didn't read the comics for She-Hulk specifically, but it might be something that she's sort of used to. And I'm cool with it. Like, it doesn't bother me. I like that, you know, generally in the show, like you said, breaking the fourth wall. By the way, did you know that she did that in the comics before Deadpool? Like, that's something that it's her thing more than it is his thing.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah,
that one I didn't know.
I was waiting for, you know, people, they're just copying Deadpool and blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently it's her thing more than it is his thing. So I'm very interested to see how that sort of plays out at some point, if they're either in the same movie together or the next Deadpool appearance, wherever it might be, if he makes some She-Hulk type reference or something. So, but yeah, no, I mean, generally the first episode, I wasn't mad at it. I was happy. I loved the end scene, which was or the cut scene at the end. It made me laugh out loud. And, you know, I'm not going to like drop F-bombs on here or anything but I found it to be fun humor. Where she's just trying to figure out Captain America, the way she delivered it, Captain America, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, so for that, you know, it so seems really fun. And so for that reason, I really sort of enjoy it. I'm very curious to see how it plays out. Like you mentioned, I'm good with it being a sort of I'll call it an atypical MCU type thing. If it's more of a lawyer show with MCU stuff spin on it, I'm down. Like, I don't need everything to tie into that. What were you gonna say?
Right. I do want to ask you one question before you go towards the end.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on her actually getting the powers of being a Hulk? Like when they had the car crash and then his blood leaks into the cut that she had. Did you feel like it was like, I just feel like it was like kind of forced? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But
no, you're not. You're not. I had to just sort of say, okay, fine. No, it was kind of like, oh, look at the blood drip into you a little bit. Oh, now you're this thing. Now, in fairness, in the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, do you remember when the leader guy
when Stan Lee drinks
and Stan Lee, so it's kind of like, okay, so there's something there to it. I understand the comics; it was more of a blood transfusion, which you're getting more in there. This is just some like drips in there. It seemed like. Now she had a pretty hefty cut, but
from the car, right? When she was getting out of the car,
So I sort of just looked past that a little bit. I didn't love it, but I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I mean, we're just. What about you?
Again, it was the same way. I was just kind of like, okay, that's how we're gonna do it. All right, well, whatever. I mean, I like that we got into it fast. Like this is how it happened.
Yeah.
Bam. But also I was like, I feel like there could have been like a cooler way to do it. I don't know. Like I feel like there could have been something that could have happened like in a much cooler way. But I guess to have it happen the way it did was cool because like there was a car ship that came in and that was what caused the whole accident and then the whole thing happened because of that. And yeah, I mean that's.
Was there anything else in episode 1 that you either really liked, didn't like, or that you want to chat about that sort of, I don't know, messed with you a little bit?
There is.
All right, go for it. I want to hear it.
I was on TikTok. This was probably like maybe like last week or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a few people who. So remember in the scene when they're sitting outside, like when they're sitting outside and they're sitting Indian style as they call it or pretzel style as you PC. And they're talking about like he's talking to her about controlling her anger.
Yeah.
And she's going through the motions of like, I do this because I have to, from men catcalling me on the street, from being, from men telling me how to do my job and all these different things. There's this weird like disconnect with the community about how like MCU approaches social issues.
Okay.
And with this particular discussion, it's almost like they push the narrative of this on people, but it's like the way the MCU does it isn't really helping with the narrative. Is more or less like changing the script to make it work for what you're trying to do is more than it's trying to actually like how can I phrase this properly, more than it's trying to like help you understand the issue. It's more or less like we're letting you know this is out there because we have to do that, but also we're not going to help fix it. Like for instance, the moment in Endgame when all the women come together and they have that moment like where they're fighting Thanos to get the gauntlet across the war zone. That moment felt forced. I don't know about you, but like when it happened, I was kind of just like, okay, this is cool, but like, did they add it for a reason? Like, what? Like, was there a reason?
Yeah,
because like
the woman
if you're gonna
power
do that
thing, like, there's other ways to like
if you're gonna
really
do that,
it.
Black Widow should have been there, and I was upset about that because like that was like every series she was in, that was like the one moment that would have been dope if she was in, but she wasn't there. And then they have it, and you're like, it just feels like you really forced this action because like it didn't really need to happen in the movie.
Yeah,
I mean it was cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it just felt like they were forcing a narrative that didn't really need to be there, but they were just doing it because it was almost like there were people that might have been upset that something wasn't there, and so they were like answering their call or their cry, but didn't really do it justice the way that it should have been done.
And you felt similar in this particular instance where you felt that it seemed like it was a call out to the fact that women in general have to deal with these sort of keeping calm type issues or not snapping off type issues, and it's like it's more just saying it's there than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's more just saying it's there than anything else. Like nothing's really being done about it. I mean, I think it's so funny when you watch a court case and you see men all the time, women are emotional and and when you look at the pictures of the narratives, it's always the reverse. The men are always like screaming and are always like red in the face and ready to fight. And women are usually just sitting there calm as cool as a cucumber, just relax. And you're like, and they need to control their emotions. You're like, for what? They already have them in check because men do so many things to women that it's like you have to control your emotions in some way. Because if women were just reckless out here, which some women are, some men are too, like they would just be murdering men constantly because we're always doing things to like antagonize them. If I was a woman and someone was catcalling me, I'd be punching people every day, every day. I wouldn't hesitate. Yeah. But it's like, it's funny when Bruce is like, you have to learn to control your anger. And then like, in a moment, she's telling him all these things of like what she has to go through on a day to day. He can't relate to that.
Yeah.
But you're doing it, you're saying it to the audience in a way that's like, yes, we know, but how is it being resolved? Like, that's the thing.
That's interesting because, I remember when we were watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there was a lot of race issues that kind of got brought into that one a little bit. Police injustices, primarily versus like the black community, and it didn't necessarily, that at least I recall, like said this is the way to, and not that they're necessarily have to or should, but it'd be interesting to see. And I will be curious to see if that is sort of a theme in this show as well, where maybe like I'll call it, like you were mentioning, women emotion, or women getting catcalled and them being able to calm themselves through that and not flip out at all these people. Is that continually go through this show? Is it going to be a narrative that sort of keeps creeping back in? Is there going to be something that they show like, hey, maybe this isn't right. Maybe we should, as a society, like in the show, do something. Right. I'll be curious. I had not thought about that during the show when watching it, but it's definitely an interesting point. So.
Because even when you look at She-Hulk as she is, when she becomes She-Hulk, she's perfect. You know what I mean? Like eyebrows, her eyes, the eyelashes, like her hair is gorgeous. Like she's a sex symbol.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Hulk, you see just like a monster to some degree.
You know what?
I mean, now that he's Professor Hulk, now that he's Professor Hulk, you just see like you see Bruce and Hulk, so you see that. Yeah. But when you see the Hulk, he's like his hair's kind of janky, like he's like hairy, he's big, but like. He's not like the brawny man come to green. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I forgot what green vegetable. I forgot which character that is. But like, he's not that. He's like jacked and like he's gorgeous. It's not that. Hulk is like he's a regular dude who just has giant muscles. And, but when you look at She-Hulk, she's like this. Like she's gorgeous. And like there were moments in the trailer where I was like, I would definitely ask her on a date. I don't care how tall she is.
No,
I wouldn't hesitate.
We were joking about that in our text chain where it was like, you. Oh, okay, all right, we're on the same page here. Like she's
gorgeous.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
And that's something I would question too. But I mean, it's whatever. I mean, she was. I mean, because if you look at the comic, there were parts of her that were kind of like, I don't want to say manly, but like there were parts of her that were very like strong. Like she looked like she was like rugged, I guess would be the better word for it. But when you see her in this show, she's just stunning.
Yeah.
You're like, wow.
It's going to be interesting because I think, and I don't know, again, I mentioned earlier that I don't understand the full She-Hulk comics, but there was something that she has, I think it's Savage She-Hulk, where she sort of like gets bigger and more ferocious, because there are a couple comics where she gets more muscular and I'll say it less of a what is considered a traditional, like, not a thin, but like a certain build sex type symbol where but it's just like gigantic muscle. So I'll be curious to see how that sort of evolves and if that ties into this or not, but it's a good point. And I will say, generally speaking, that the women in comics, and I say this to my wife, that, growing up in the 90s, the way they drew them, and the men too, but I was like, that's not a figure that's ever going to be on somebody. Like, that's impossible. You know what I mean?
Not even the figures, the costumes too. Like, if you look at Street Fighter, Cammy's costume, bro, like, I get that she's a badass, and she's a badass in the game, she is. But like, I can't imagine a woman fighting like that. Like, you're exposed everywhere, and you look half naked. Like, if you look at that, Tekken, like any of the fighting games, they're all Mortal Kombat, even like Katana, Jade, all those characters, like they're all dressed in a way that's very sexualized.
Yep.
And it's like, I just don't fully understand how that would be workable for a guy. Like if you were to put like Cammy's costume on like Guile, it would look so weird. It would look so weird. But like his is doable. He's wearing like camel pants and like a shirt, and it worked. Or he's shirtless, one of the two. But like, for her, like, they were like bikini tops and stuff like that. And you're like, but they're fighters on like streets. I don't think they dress like this.
Ryan Gosling says he wants to come to the MCU. So maybe he can, I mean, there's the opportunity.
Harry Styles is already here, so we're already off to a hot start.
Let's see. So I'm with you on the narrative, social type narrative there. Anything else from episode 1 that you generally kind of saw or thought about that, was just, I thought it was a generally good intro. Again, it's like the show. You got a thought?
I loved that they did this, and it almost made me cry when she comes down, when Jen Walters comes down to see Bruce for the first time, and they're talking, Bruce is telling her about how Tony he made him this whole place, and he said that he joked about coming back and taking the whole thing, and it was alone, and then he said that, and then he kind of paused for a moment of silence. I almost cried there, dead ass. Like he said he'd come back and take it away from me. So I just leave. Like, it was one of those things where he was gonna speak on it, and then he was like, no, let me just keep moving this conversation, and he just pushed. There was a moment of like, I miss him. Like, it was that was really sad.
Yeah.
But I will say though that the line where when he has her in like the cage with like the blades and stuff, And she goes, I forgot how she phrased it. She was like, fear and something was like just like the baseline for any woman existing, which is true. Like that's a very true narrative. But yeah, I thought that was cool when like he forced her in there, and then she like figured it out, like blast through, and then he's trying to calm her down like a horse.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not a horse. She's like, wait, but you're not. You're you. Like you're not. There's nobody else. It's like, I thought that was really funny.
That was a really good interaction. I think about it, like his just overall shock of Jen. That's you. You know, wait a minute, you're not some other person. Like what's happening right now?
Already figured it out.
Yeah.
That was great. And then he has to like, he's showing her how to do everything, and he has to like overthrow the boulder. He throws it. Did it hit something when he threw the boulder in the sky, or did it just like explode?
No, I think it's just like
speed.
Yeah, exactly. Just like when a comet or a meteor or meteorite comes through the atmosphere, it burns up as it goes through it. I think that was all that was happening.
Gosh, because I was like, that's concerning how he just threw that. It just dissipated.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you're still like some ultra level Hulk here. So I do know that some people got a little upset that like she was able to run him over with a Jeep. You know, it's not like a She-Hulk Jeep, it's just a Jeep. And you see a lot of memes out there about how like the power of Hulk from Incredible Hulk till now is just like dissipated so much, which I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, but
I hate that across the board, in whether it be movies or shows. Like, I love how they have to have a negative with superheroes. They have to, because if they don't, the movie wouldn't really carry. The movie would have a hard time carrying. I mean, like, I'm a huge Flash fan, and whenever I see the Flash in any kind of like comic or like a TV show or a series or a movie, and like things happen to him that he could have easily avoided, I'm like, how? Like, you're faster than life itself. Like, how did you not get out of that? Like, how did you not see it coming even? Because like the Flash thinks in terms of an attosecond. So I mean, like, I'm thinking before you even have the thought. Like, that's how fast he's thinking. And so for something to happen to him, I'm like, how did you get? I'm like, you're supposed to be fast. How did you get caught like that? It's crazy. I'm like, we're like 9 seasons in. Yeah, you still haven't figured it out. Yeah, like it's insane to me. Yeah. But even with Superman, like, there's always like, you know, some kind of kryptonite somewhere, and with like, you know, the MCU, Iron Man, like, you know, his battery does run out eventually. Like, you figured you'd find a way to have like an endless loop of battery, or like an endless of power. And with the Hulk, like, he got his ass beat by Thanos with a quickness, and apparently, I mean, with his power, the more he gets angrier, the tougher he is. But he just got slapped around like a doll. It's bad.
Yeah, like, real quick too.
You know, so I mean, they have to. They have to. I don't want to say dumb things down, but sort of like I forgot the word they use is in the gaming world, but it's the way they kind of like dummy a gun down if it's too powerful.
I gotcha.
They nerf it, and it's like, you know, you have to with superheroes, because if they were powerful through the entire movie, it would be a quick screening.
Yeah,
it'd be a very quick screening.
Right. Yeah. Well, and Superman would not have almost any competition. You know what I mean? Or like same thing with like the Hulk types or Thor types, or it's like, you know, how are you even competing with each other right now? Like Hulk or like Thor and Avengers would have ripped Captain America or Iron Man apart. Like, this isn't a fight. Like, what is this?
Easily, but destroyed him.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. All right. So jump in, and I mean, maybe we'll think of something for episode 1 later, but episode 2 seemed to be sort of like the, you know, just she's there. This is what she's doing. You know, obviously she gets let go from her company and then goes on to the other one and takes on the case of Abomination, which was interesting. I personally really think it's going to be, I will say that I really liked the fourth wall break where they joked about where Mark Ruffalo was talking about, he's like, I'm like a completely different person now, literally talking about the Hulk and like him fighting Abomination. And she does a fourth wall break and just goes, ha. I was like, all right, I'm like, I can appreciate this. This is good. Like, like, let's just address it and move on. And, but yeah, how'd you generally like episode 2?
I liked episode 2. I thought it was fast. Like, I felt like I sat down on the couch and it was already over. And I was like, well, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, I just got here.
What are the run times on these? I haven't even been paying attention.
The runtime for the first one, I think, was 32, and I think this one was 30.
Okay,
I think.
all right.
But then you have to, I mean, like, they count like, credits and all that jazz. I would say it's like 27. I like, if you're looking at content for itself, it's like 27.
Yeah.
But I liked the episode. I thought it was fun. I like that Tim Roth is back playing Emil Blonsky. I think that's great. Abomination. I like the. There were 2 Easter eggs that I actually saw.
Okay.
When she's on the laptop looking for a job after she gets fired.
Ton of them in that one.
Yes, there was one. There were like 2 articles on the side, and one of them said like Claude Man has a brawl fight.
Yep.
Or
Wolverine reference for sure.
Yeah, which was dope. And there was another one. It was crap. What was it? Oh, it was the giant. Oh my God, Celestial. That was just like chilling on Earth.
Yeah, from the Eternals.
Yeah, it was like, what is this like headless figure just in world, is it in the earth now? Like there's two things that were just like two random Easter eggs that just popped in that that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that. There's a couple of things on the top there, but they were Ant-Man related, and I think an Avengers one. But I loved those two in particular, and sort of how it's starting to play into the timeline a little bit, because clearly with how the episode ended too, this is happening sort of around the same time as Shang-Chi was happening. So,
or it was beforehand. Because
yeah, kind of a little. Well, so the cutscene, which spoiler, was basically showing when after she takes on the case, shows Abomination fighting Wong in the ring, right? Which is from Shang-Chi, which. So clearly it's somewhere either before or as it's happening. They're sort of overlapped at some point. You know what I mean?
And then that was great that was great at the end. She was like, "Oh, well, that sucks."
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Lovely.
Yeah, because and now that you think about it, like I'm trying, because at the end of Shang-Chi, Bruce still had a bad arm, so Shang-Chi had to happen before this, or at least a little bit before this, because in this, Bruce's arm is already fixed by episode 1.
I think I saw that he had that machine, that like the kind of like that kind of regulator. I think he had that on his arm in Shang-Chi though.
He did or did not?
I think he had it, because I'm pretty sure it was a quick shot.
Yeah.
So it's either the same time or like just a little bit after.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about talking of Easter eggs and Polanski, the 7 pen pal friends? Did you pick up on that? He said it a couple of times. This was the one I picked up, I think, probably the most. He said it a couple of times where he's like, well, I've got these friends that, we bought land together and we're pen pals, these 7 friends. I'm pretty sure it's a Thunderbolts reference where he basically has these. Yeah. So he's really sort of like going into that a little bit, which I thought was like, okay, this is fun. This is kind of cool.
Because it's coming out eventually.
That's right. I think it's at the end of 2023, or maybe it's the beginning of 20. I don't remember. It's maybe 2024. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
Nice.
And I'm interested to see how he plays out, and then the whole haiku and making peace with Bruce and all that. So,
also, where's he going?
Bruce?
Yeah.
He's going to Sakaar, I assume, but the whole, everyone, what the people, what they are talking about is World War Hulk, where there might be something, also maybe he goes to Sakaar, figures out that he has a son there.
Right.
Scar, I think his name is, if I remember right, from the comics. So it could be that. But again, what movie would that play in? Because I don't think Marvel has the rights to have a solo movie with Hulk, because I think it's Universal or something along those lines, has the rights to Hulk still. He can only show up in other stuff, like as a sort of a semi-side thing.
I'm trying to think what other would be out there.
Well, and it's like
Secret Wars could be an option. Quantum Mania might be an option, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's more like realms than it is space. So Guardians 3. The
Last Guardians could be an option, yeah.
Yeah, Marvels maybe, but I don't. Maybe. That seems like there's probably enough going on with the 3 Marvels: Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau.
That's true.
Photon. So, I'm very curious. I don't know how they're gonna bring that all back together.
Secret Invasion, maybe. I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would happen. Like, unless they got the rights and swung it, then great. But I don't. Yeah, Sony is golly.
Yeah. Well, this isn't Sony. It's it's Universal or something like that. I forget who. But still, it's somebody else.
Even then,
right?
Let go.
Yeah.
Let go. You're not doing it justice.
I know. Well, they're not even doing anything with it. You know what I mean?
No, they're not.
And maybe they're collecting some royalties from Marvel from just letting them use the character, and they're like, yeah, that's good. We don't have to do anything in it. We already own this. You just pay us as we see, let you use the character.
Don't understand. It's like, we can build on this. We can do something with it. Pardon me. And they won't let them just like, okay, go ahead. Like, I mean, at this point, Sony should just really just hand the reins over to Marvel, because like they're just not helping. Not helping.
I would agree.
I kind of want to keep Sony the way you would keep a child when you're playing video games, and like, I want to play. You bring the controller out, but you don't like plug it in. You know what I'm saying? That's what Sony should be to Marvel. You put the controller, but they're not playing. They're just there.
You're holding the controller. Good job, and you get to have fun.
You're doing enough.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. Thank you. That's pretty funny. So let's see what else we got. What did you think about the Emil Blonsky's? And I might be butchering the name, but the Abominations pitch to Jen Walters about the idea that why he thinks his case should be won and it's unfair. As far as, I thought I was doing it right. I thought, the government asked me to do this. They put this stuff in me. Now, obviously in the movie, he goes overboard and, says, give me all this more stuff and takes it. So he's clearly got, I think, some sort of like still evil vendetta inside of him, but just the concept of that I thought was very interesting and sort of ties into that social conversation as well.
When he presented the idea to her, saying that he thought he was going to be the next Captain America and all that stuff, even in the original movie, I didn't get that feel like, oh yeah, he's going to be the next super soldier, like he's going to be dope. No, because the super soldier serum affects, they even said it back in Captain America 1, it's all about the heart. If you have a good heart, you'll be a good person when you have these powers. But if you have a bad heart, you'll be a bad person. I mean, it was very obvious. It just enhances the features it enhances the features you already have.
Yeah.
And makes you better or worse depending on how you are. And so, look, he's a villain. Villains have ways of manipulating people and being like, oh yeah, well, I thought it was this. And then at the end of the day, like, no, I definitely knew I was doing this. Like, I just don't believe his case. How can you, having seen the last 10 years of movies, being like, no, there's absolutely no, I believe that.
Yeah.
What did you think on it?
No, I mean, I thought it was, the pitch he made, I thought was good. And I think in the court of law, that's probably how he gets out, is that he was just servicing the government as instructed, and now it's not his fault. Now, again, I don't know. The people he took the serum from, I think the leader's either dead or not saying anything. So that person doesn't know how he got it. Now, unless the defense stand says, well, we didn't put that much in him. He just, but even then, who knows? So I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I think he'll obviously get free off of it. I saw a trailer where he's high-fiving some people, and it looks like maybe he does obviously get free. I think that obviously with the Thunderbolt somehow is the way to do it. I'm curious to see how Wong plays all into this too, because obviously at the end of the episode, it's he's like, it shows like he was fighting Wong. So and we know from the trailers, Wong shows up at some point. But Wong's also...
Wong's in it. Daredevil. I think Punisher's making an appearance too, isn't he?
Is he?
Well, I think Punisher's he'll be in the new Daredevil series.
Okay, that would be.
But I know Daredevil's going to be in this for sure.
That I knew. Yeah. But I was like, wait, Punisher's going to show up? Like that would be. That would be. I can't. Anyway, I don't want to go down that route too much because I just.
No, we can't. It's too sad.
Yeah. Well, I just love that guy's actor, and I thought the show was fantastic. So. What else? Anything else you can think of in episode 2 that just sort of like you really enjoyed, or things that you've seen either online or Easter eggs that popped out for you?
I like that she got played to some degree to join the how do they call it?
HKL, whatever the new law firm is.
And then the new division that she got involved into. Then like he's like, she has to be She-Hulk in order for it to happen. And like I love that he played her. That was trash. It was trash made by him, but I mean it had to happen for the sake of the story.
Yeah. He strikes me as a big trash guy anyway, but keep going. What you say?
For sure.
Yeah.
I love her friend. She's the best.
Yeah.
her paralegal. She's great.
Yeah.
There's a character in the comics that someone was saying that like she might be like sort of tied to, so like there's a chance that she could die.
Oh.
I'd prefer if she didn't.
Yeah, I like the actress.
Yeah, I think she's great, because even the part where like the guy brings a gift basket, he goes, and I have a map of the best bathroom. They're both like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
apparently
so
he's like a guy from the comics too, which I thought was hilarious. He's just sort of a guy who always likes her from the law firm. So
that's fantastic. So I like that. And I know we've seen the trailer. I want to know the guy who she kind of hooks up with and like carries out of I forgot who that, but I can't wait to see how that scene plays out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so funny. But yeah, I mean, this episode was just it was just quick. It was kind of setting the story for what's gonna come in the next. How many episodes are there? Do you know?
I don't actually. I assume 6 to 8. Yeah, just because of that's generally what we've got. I'd love if this series was closer to 12 plus, because they're half an hour. They're pretty entertaining. I could see it just being a normal show. Or like this doesn't even have to be tied to all the other MCU stuff. You could just do this show and have MCU stuff come into it. You know what I mean? It's like it can just sort of interweave in between it. And I'd be like, that's cool. I like it. She's like the lawyer for superheroes, and sometimes she shows up in movies and whatever. And I don't know. I think that would be fun, but.
I think it'd be great that I think that's what the shows should really do. I think the shows serve as a bridge to the movies, and then you can just bring in things and bring out things to go in and out. But I think the show should be standalone.
Yeah.
I like that. One thing I'm curious about too, like as far as the last few series that we've watched, WandaVision and Black and Winter Soldier and Loki and what else was there? What If? Do you think that they're long enough as far and Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel? Do you think it was Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel.
Do you think that they're long enough to get the story across, or do you think that it should be like maybe a couple episodes longer?
No, yeah, I always think that everything I've seen so far, I think they should have been longer. I will. Now, Miss Marvel, I felt like putzed along a little bit, where it was just kind of like, all right, I get the story, the backstory here. We're doing a lot with the family. We're doing a lot with the culture, and I'm always pro that, especially if it's a minority situation where people might not know a lot about the culture, or like the apartheid in India, or not the apartheid, but was it the apartheid in India? Where the British rule in India, where it went over how it split up to Pakistan and India and broke up based on a religion. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I probably learned this in history at some point a little bit, but this is a good refresher, and it's teaching, a new generation of stuff from the movies as well. So with the exception of parts of Miss Marvel, I thought a lot of them were too slow. I didn't, or maybe not too slow, but didn't have enough in them, is what I really said. Miss Marvel was a little too slow. The other ones, I was like, all right, I needed more here. Like, this just was 6 episodes, or it was only 30 minutes or 40 minutes of actual runtime. And okay, I like the character. It's cool. Now what? Like, I want more. Give me more. So.
Even Moon Knight, like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like there were moments that were like rushed, and you're just like, I think if you added 2 more episodes and did like 1 or 2 of these things, I think it would have been dope. But because you felt like you forced it, we gotta get these 6 episodes out. Okay, bet. But can you take your time with them? So we know that everything is happening. Like, we're gonna see everything. Because there are moments towards like the back half of Moon Knight where I think it was the last 2 episodes, things were happening, and I was like, oh, that was kind of fast. Okay, all right. Because I low-key didn't really care for the fact that we just never saw the other half of him, like the one that was like super destructive and just destroyed everybody. Like, that was left up to imagination. But so I'm hoping that if it comes back for a second season, hopefully they'll do like a flashback on that, and we'll get to see like what that personality is like, and how he just goes off, and how good he is, because he was so like he was destructive. I mean, in a way that like you couldn't even imagine. But yeah, I think in general, I think the shows could be just a little bit, maybe like a couple episodes longer, and then I'd be like, okay, now you got us all there. And even some of the movies, like some movies should be a series. Like, I think Eternal should be a series.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say that.
Straight up. Yeah. Straight up. I'd have been happy with that. But the fact that it was a movie, it was just long. There were parts that were lulls, and I was like, this could have been a show.
A lot of characters to develop too.
Yeah, and you did, what was it, like 9, 10 of them? There were 10 in like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe?
Yeah, it was a couple hours, I think, but.
Yeah, dude, I was like, this could have been broken up for sure.
Yeah, I know. This is unpopular opinion, but as far as a movie goes, I think they did as good as they could with that. But
yeah, true.
I get your point to trying to do that in a series. So hopefully they learn from that sort of thing. I mean, right now, I like what they got going in She-Hulk. I'm looking forward to the future episodes. Check it out. Looking forward to hopefully syncing together with you and Mike to shoot some stuff. Is there anything else with the first 2 episodes or the show in general that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I think the show's. I think so far it's doing great. I'm happy. There's plenty of laughs and plenty of stuff I'm learning, and the story's getting good. It's off to a good start so far. I just hope, and it happens. I think I said this in our chat before. I hope that this, like, the first 2 episodes don't capture you, and then it just kind of falls off towards the end. Because I feel like the last few have done that, where like you get caught up in the first 2 episodes. And then there's this weird turn, and you're like, oh, I thought we were going this way. That's crazy.
Or you were waiting for something.
And we kind of go away from like what should have actually been happening, but then to versus what is happening. So but yeah, I'm happy that I like where it's going, and I can't wait to see more.
Cool. Awesome. Well, look, I appreciate the time. It was awesome seeing you as always. For everyone who's watching this far, we appreciate you. Thank you. Consider subscribing to the channel. Hammer down like buttons if you want to do that algorithm thing. And until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.
Yeah.